Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are
Thanks
you
for
today?
having me. I'm good. How about you?
I'm okay. I want you to know that this chat will not be onerous. It will be short. We won't make it a long, drawn-out thing. But I would like you to tell us your name and share with us anything that would help us get to know you a little bit better. And we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds good. Very casual. So my name is Monique Mills. I like to describe myself first as I'm a mom, I'm a wife. Um, that's most importantly. But in my career, I'm an electrical engineer turned serial entrepreneur.
I love it.
So, I spend my days now working with um, companies on strategy, everything to do with their marketing, their revenues, and all of that fundraising. And I also do teach a class at university in entrepreneurship to help other people who are even considering it, right, know the real deal before they jump out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where,
So
where, where are you located?
I'm in Atlanta,
Atlanta.
Georgia. Mm-hmm.
What is Atlanta like now? And when I mean now, past the shooting of the man in the drive-through restaurant, and before that, what was it like? Is we often hear that Atlanta is a very diverse city, lots of opportunity and all that stuff. Can you tell us a little bit about Atlanta?
So since I'm not a native Atlantan, people who are natively from here feel a different way about the city than someone like me who, I grew up north. So to me, it's a stark difference in what people find acceptable as far as like race relations versus how I see it. So I see Atlanta as being a very segregated city.
Really?
In the city, like in Midtown, you'll see a lot of gentrification. You'll see some areas where it is more mixed, more diverse, but through and through, it's a very segregated city. It was just one of those things. I was surprised because when I moved here, because I had heard the same things you had. And there are a lot of people of color, Black people, in upward mobility kind of situations. But I would still say that as far as going high, you can get to a certain point. It's not the sky, it's not the limit. I don't believe that. I think relationships can get you there, but there's certainly some negotiations going on that may compromise who you are a lot of the time. So if you're not willing to play that game, it's certainly only so far I've seen people actually make it and be like, cut and dry, clean, very proud of everything they've had to do to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. What brought you to Atlanta from up north?
I actually ended up coming to the South initially living in Florida because I was recruited out of college to work for Siemens. I started my career in the power generation industry. I used to build power plants for Siemens. And while in Florida, I got married. And soon, maybe a year or so after being married, my husband's company relocated us here. So we've been here now about 16 years. Yeah.
And you don't work for Siemens any longer?
No, I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own consultancy and I teach.
Can you tell us a little bit about your company and your instructions?
Yeah, sure. So, and then one of the other things that I do, like through my company as well, is I'm associated with a lot of tech startup incubators and accelerators around the country. So my company, we're a strategy firm. So we help people, startups and SMBs, figure out their revenue strategy, really, how to execute to increase their revenues and to create a sustainable business. Things have changed. A lot of people are still doing things the old way and wondering why they're not getting results. And that's because everything has changed. I mean, even from when I first started, I was a tech startup founder. I had a software company. Started in 2013, exited in 2017. And even since 2017, right, things have changed. And so most people, if that's not your core of constantly figuring out strategies and seeing what's happening in the marketplace all the time, which most startups don't have people that do that, and most SMBs don't. They don't have anyone on the team that do that. So they don't necessarily realize things are shifting or have shifted and they're being left behind. My work with startups predominantly come through the incubators and accelerators. I'm associated with, like, I'm on the board of STEM to Market, which helps people with PhDs and STEM backgrounds commercialize their ideas. So, for the most part, PhDs are not necessarily business people. They are, of the technical expertise. And so I would even say that's 10% of having a business. Like, that's like 5% of having a business. All the rest of the stuff is stuff that most engineers, which I'm one, we don't typically enjoy doing. But in order to be successful in business, you have to learn it, at least know what's necessary. So I help startups, with that whole thing so that they can gain traction in order to be sustainable, whether that means through customers, right? Customer value, or raising money from venture capitalists and angel investors. On the teaching side of things, it started out as just doing a favor for a semester. And I've done it now. This is my third semester. But I just teach one class once a week at Georgia State University. And it's just a class in basically entrepreneurship 101. But since I have experience in the realities of starting a company from an idea and helping so many others, I'm able to share with them the real journey and not just what they're reading online. And through my work there, I continue to do, even though I'm busy with other things, because I'm also a research faculty at Georgia Tech, where I went to get my MBA, and that's how I know Stager, right? So I'm also faculty there, and I help the startups at their tech incubator. And it's the largest one. It's the oldest one, almost the oldest one in the country. It's 40 years old. So through my work with like hundreds of startups I've worked with, I'm able to share with students, and they all range. Most of these students are graduating seniors, about the realities and not to pass up job opportunities because they think they're going to go out there and create the next Facebook. Georgia State University is a different demographic than Georgia Tech. Okay, so Georgia State has about 53,000 students, extremely diverse campus, most of which a large percentage of their population are students of color, immigrants, and first-time college students. A lot of older students as well who didn't, either start college or complete college when they were younger. So seeing that a lot of people have, I always say they have the reality TV produced version of startup life. I've seen a lot of founders of color, especially Black founders, get kind of caught up in this. It's really entertaining, and you go to the pitch competitions and, so-and-so raised $1 million and it's so exciting. But they don't know that that's just a headline and that's not the realities of what it is. They don't know that this person has exhausted all of their savings, their family savings. They have no income. They're sleeping on the couch. They don't understand that raising money from an investor doesn't mean you have that money in the bank, right? They don't understand that raising money from an investor gives them a large control over your company and can mean that they fire you and put someone else in. Yeah. After you sacrifice 3, 4, 5 years. So just digging into those things of real instances. This is not anything read, right? This is real instances, and also from my own experience in companies that I work with, so that those people, because I'm the first in my family of kids to go to college. I'm the youngest of 13. So I know what it's like to kind of go through that like confusion of, all right, what am I doing here when you're in college, right? Because you don't really have anyone to kind of tell you how it's going to go. But then you kind of make it out, and I don't want people to be sold this dream and have a ton of opportunity costs go out the window. Or I know plenty of people as well, some of which are engineers like myself, who have blown through their nice 401ks that they had from corporate, trying to do this startup thing because they got caught up. And then once you get caught up and you let the world know, you got to keep up. You got to keep up with it. And it's just, I see it ruining a lot of the wealth that we have created in this first generation college student thing. And I want to, that's what motivates me to continue teaching. Even though I'm busy with other things, I'm willing to take that 2 hours a week to invest in 45 people to say, listen, this is how it works, and these are some things to consider. And, because I see it happen. I see it, sensationalized through Shark Tank on TV and all of that. And so, it's accessible. I'm not saying it's not possible, but this is set up. It's like, it's a system, just like everything else. And unless you understand the system, you can't create your own rules. Like, it's there. I'm not saying it's fair, but, I really just try to help them understand some of the things that are in place and how they can navigate the things that they can control. Because there's a lot of it that, they can't control.
I think I'm going to share with you my story a little bit, and maybe you can just maybe amplify what you just said. So I've been in IT for 45 or 46 years. I can't remember what the number is right now. I left the top of my head, but for a long time. And throughout my career, I have started small little businesses. So when I first moved to North Carolina in 1999, I started a personnel business. My first contract was with Pepsi. And then I had a follow-up company that did something with energy and coal. So eventually I did. Then that led me to create a magazine, because here in North Carolina, as you can imagine, we are diverse, but not nearly as diverse as, something like some parts of Georgia or New York or wherever. There are pockets of diversity, and Durham is probably one of the most diverse cities in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So my personnel company, it was too much work for one person to do. And as you said, I had invested every penny I had to start this company. I got contracts, it worked. But then the ability to do that work every single day, find a candidate for them, do the background check, do all those things, I let it go. My newspaper, there was a newspaper here called Carolina Parent. And it's a glossy, no, I'm sorry, it was a newspaper-like magazine that kind of talked about summer camps and things that you could do as parents with your kids, right? Mm-hmm. So I created a magazine called Parent to Parent. Did really, really well. Same thing, got great contracts, walked away from it. And so my third company was a company to talk to young women about STEM, like coming into STEM and staying in STEM. Mm-hmm. I was inundated by every school I could find. Again, one person, just me. Yep. And so my current venture is basically the same as my third company, except for it's more focusing on advocacy, branding, coaching, and consulting for hiring and for staying in STEM. So I started that company in June of this year. Okay. And I am already burnt out. So one of my friends sent me an email saying that one of the larger organizations in this area has an RFP, and they'd like me to compete with the RFP. 90 pages. Dun and Bradstreet, SBA,
Mhm.
MWBE, all of these things. So I'm
Mhm.
I'm doing all of this at the exact same time. Liability insurance, and I can't. The list kind of goes on and on and on. And
Mhm.
while I am going to do my best to stay in this company, my full-time job pays my bills. I have a chronically ill son. A husband's a third grade teacher. So money is always, it's a fight between my business and my family. And my
Yes.
family wins
Yes.
every single time. So
Mhm.
the business has to suffer. So what you said has been really, really helpful. And I think that for people like me, I'm not a business person. I have a psychology degree. I have an English degree. I have a master's in public administration. I have a doctorate in education. None of that said business in there at all. Did you hear business in any? Public administration is probably the closest thing to it, because my public administration degree was a practical. We went out and built towns and did things like that. But that's
Mhm.
it. But nothing you heard in my description said I'm an entrepreneur. I know anything about business. Nothing.
Mhm.
Nothing. And so while I think the service that I have is needed and necessary, companies need someone to come and tell them how to diversify their teams. They need someone specifically in STEM, but overall, tell
Mhm.
them, you've got to hire Black and brown people. And my example has always been Google's facial recognition software in
Yeah.
2015, right? So
Mhm.
I think good business practice, Google did not do that intentionally. It's just when you have, a heterogenic team of people that
That's
look
right.
just alike, you're going to have that kind of result.
Mhm.
That's what my company is intended to do. But I think everything you just said is an exact reason why. And so I haven't sought any venture capitalists or outside funding, my own. I've been robbing
Mhm.
my 401k, 403b, whatever the hell the thing is. I've been
Yeah.
robbing it to support my
Mhm.
business interests. And I know my services are needed. But again, I have a team of people who are consultants who will give me advice. But
Mhm.
that RFP, I started working on it about mid-July.
Mhm.
Yesterday, I withdrew it after I spent
Wow.
all that time. And I mean, I think the RFP was $1.5 million. I withdrew
Mhm.
it because writing that. So I got to get, yeah, I just told you all those certifications I got to get, right?
Mhm.
I got to get liability insurance. And they specifically said you have $7 million worth of,
Yep.
liability, workers' comp, and all these things. So
Mhm.
I think what you have said is absolutely profound and phenomenal. And I don't know if you have this as a digital course, but that's what you need to put out there and sell starting businesses,
Yeah.
because I don't think people really understand how hard it is to form a business.
No.
I'm an LLC, so
Mhm.
have to pay a lawyer a fortune for that. Got to get an assumed name. All of these things that you've got to do. Then there's no handbook to do it. I mean, there are
Mhm.
lots of stuff on there how to start a business, but actually have what you just said, step
Mhm.
by step by step, is so needed. So my suggestion is create that digital course, charge people an arm and a leg, and let me sign up for it, because God knows
Okay.
I am struggling mightily with this. So,
Yeah. No,
and
I appreciate that.
huh?
I appreciate that. And I can understand what you're saying. Particularly one thing that you brought up that I talk about in the course that I teach, because people have great ideas, but not all of them are scalable and fit within venture capital model. So service businesses, they don't invest in,
Right,
right? T-shirt businesses, they don't invest in.
right.
Salons, they don't, like, unless it's scaled, like some type of scalable tech,
Yep,
software, hardware, whatever, they don't they don't they don't even want to talk to you.
right.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's why I think it's absolutely necessary, because when I think about how much money I've spent, probably $23,000 in the
Mhm.
time I've been doing this, um, and I have a child in college.
Mhm.
I tell you, my husband's a third grade teacher, so he gets paid $1 a year. So so it's like, I know this thing is necessary, and I advocate and mentor a lot of young women in STEM, men too, in STEM.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing is necessary. I just don't know
Mhm.
how to move from point A to point B, because when I have my full-time job, right, I've got to go do my day job and then come
Mhm.
home at night and write and write and write and write and write and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. whatever it is that you teach in your course needs to be a digital course that people can buy, because I'm sure there's YouTube videos that have some of that on there. I'm talking about something really that's practical that you can apply and make sure you understand how that works from the first day you formulate your idea. I want to start this company. What are the steps? Because being a Black woman, for someone mentioned it to me, it wasn't like I knew this, that I could be an SBA 88 Section 8 or something like that. I can't remember what it is. MWSB, minority women. No, there's nowhere anybody tells you these are the steps that you need, right? And then what you were saying about funding, funding is really asking friends to give you money. That's really what funding is. Like, it's not looking for a venture capitalist. It's looking for people that who thinks what you are doing has a good idea and will invest in it. So I say this again, and I mean, I say it with all intensity. Start this as a digital course. Put it in Coursera or edX or wherever you can put it, and charge people for this course, because people need this. Because you would, as you said, you have good ideas. I think there are, but sometimes the amount of effort you have to exert to bring it to fruition is not worth it.
Right, and I help them figure that out before they go too far.
Right.
So we do the financial model. How many do you need to sell to make this amount of money? Pricing strategies, right? And so that's another thing. People just kind of come up with prices, or they'll look at a competitor and say, well, they're charging $89 a month, so I'll charge $89 a month. But that's actually not how you build a business, right? And so I just walk with them through it.
Yep.
So that's why I partner with accelerators and incubators around the country, because I get it. And I especially work with, other people that are in STEM, who that business side of things, first of all, in my engineering school, they didn't teach anything about nothing. So I went back to get my MBA. And that's when everything changed for me. And I was like, it's like a light bulb went off. And during that time, when I started my tech startup, I was still in school. I quit my full-time job and went in on actually applying everything that I learned. And that's when I created the software company. But it was a lot of mistakes made, but being able to correct them quickly because I'm in it, right? So you're doing it at the same time. Having a support system, I had someone who was like me, right? Who was like me to me, meaning that who I am now, able to guide people along the way. I had someone like that, but it's very few people that's going to tell you the truth, because they have no reason to sit down and say, hold on, don't spend $20,000 on a marketing plan.
Right.
I have people who I work with who have spent $85,000 with developers and have to throw all of the code away because it doesn't accomplish what it was supposed to. Like, it's so much money being thrown away, and people's wealth, like things that they work for to put money away in the 401ks, the kids' college funds. I can't even tell you the amount of people in the startup community who get divorced.
Right.
It's so stressful. But I'm like, if I can tell whoever I can tell the truth to early before they start, and we even do a comparison of opportunity costs and what you can realistically expect based upon what you can do for this business you're thinking of. Like, let's just start there. If we can just start there, then you can move forward with the right kind of wisdom on, all right, I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna do this first, right? Or I'm gonna just work on this slowly. Or is this something that's actually investable? Is this something that someone would invest in? So I do have investment in companies myself. So I have my investor hat on, and I'd be like, okay, that doesn't make sense. Like, that won't fly, right? And so I'm able to do that. And I just think it helps people.
Yeah, well, I think you're absolutely right. So let me ask you about that from a different angle. So is it difficult as a Black or brown or even a woman to start and sustain a business? Is there racism in that spectrum as well?
Absolutely. It's in everything. First of all, I have to be honest with people about my journey. So because I'm so transparent one-on-one. So you may not know this because it's you and I just talking right now, but I'm like a severe introvert.
Me too.
So, okay. so, so I can have these candid conversations one-on-one, but something about when I get in that classroom and I see all those students looking at me, hungry to start a business or think they're going to be an entrepreneur, and I just unleash because I'm like, I gotta let them know. So I get into that mode, and the whole anxiety about it all goes away. So I tell them about my experience. So yeah, I can list off all these credentials, right? I'm engineer, got MBA, I'm a licensed realtor, I'm a certified PNP, I'm on the board of this and that, like I, own companies, whatever. Cool. But the crazy thing about it is before anyone would even want to talk to me, I have to go through my resume.
Right.
And I hate leading. Like I found out very quickly, I had to lead with my resume. And once I led with my resume, then all the doors started opening. People are willing to talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
But just on face value, right? It's like, oh, like, what do you want, right? So I learned how to compose emails, how to compose LinkedIn connections, and I have to lead with my credentials. Right. And that's the only way that I've been led into these rooms. So I have some great relationships with whoever there is to know in town here to do with fundraising, investment, startups. I know them all. Yeah. I know them all. And I have great relationships, but I had to lead with my credentials. And then because I'm an introvert, introverts, we develop very strong one-on-one relationships. So once I lead with that, we develop a relationship of trust and they like me and I'm, whatever, and we have a great relationship. And then they open up their network to me. And so that's how the network was open. Now I know that is not going to happen for everyone else. I know, I understand these barriers in place. And all I can do is be a bridge. So now that I'm in that position where I know these people, when a founder or entrepreneur comes to me and they're like, hey, I'm working on this, I have this, and I'll help them on certain things. And be like, well, I'm looking for, angel investors that can do X, Y, and Z. I'll make introductions to my network. Mm-hmm. Like I extend my network so that other people can win, because I know that they wouldn't get through those doors without having had me kind of say, okay, this is someone I trust. They're not going to waste your time. You know me, I'm not going to have anyone wasting your time. And so that more people get an opportunity to be let in. Being a woman, so I'm an engineer, like I'm on the tech side of things, and I'm used to being, first of all, the only Black person, but certainly the only woman. And it's definitely very much like you have to demand your respect. Mm-hmm. It's just not given. So I found that, again, I still have to lead with my credentials. Mm-hmm. But also when I was first getting started and I was like trying, kind of like meeting everybody, right, on my journey to building a tech company, I was kind of just like meeting everybody in the ecosystem. And I always made sure I had on my wedding ring, because sometimes even with that on, yep, they would be inappropriate. But so that they knew I was married and wouldn't, because that, it just gets, it's ridiculous. And there is no HR. And I explain to, my students, well, there's no HR in entrepreneurship. When someone is inappropriate, unprofessional, there's nothing, nothing's going to happen. Right? You can choose to deal with them or not to deal with them and move on. But it is what it is. So you're kind of out there on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. And so further to that point, so in this moment we were in, Black Lives Matter, and there have been more opportunities for Black people and more support for Black business. But one of the interesting things about that moment, if you will, is like, what are Black businesses, right? So we got the hairdressers, the barbershops, the restaurants, we got the typical things, but where's the Apple? Where is the Google? Where's the whatever these other companies are? So you want to support Black businesses and have the Black dollar turn over in the Black community, because wealth is only built when you are able to participate in the economic stratosphere regularly. So if I only go get my hair done every 2 weeks, and I'm like probably most of the people in my hairdressers community, she's only getting money like that every 2 weeks. Now she has clients every single day, maybe, but probably not. So in the idea of entrepreneurship and all of that, and I would even go back to working for someone, how does the black dollar manifest itself over and over again, where everything you want, Amazon can have it to you the next day. Go buy it on eBay. You can go find it somewhere else. It is not like there is a black grocery store chain. It's not like there's a black drugstore chain. It's not like there is a black, whatever it is that you're trying to do, even you. So there is no Monique Mills all over the world where we can go find help to start our business. So what the black dollar does is it barely touches the black community and immediately goes to the white community. So for example, banks. The only, I think there's 2, 3 black banks left in America. You know, one of them is here in Durham, thank God. You know,
there's one here, Citizens.
Yeah, you know, so limited number of black banks. So, you know, we're not putting our money there. You know, so how does this issue get addressed with being able to, one, establish black businesses that black people will use and participate with, and then to know where those businesses are. And I would even further add, rate those businesses, right? So, you know, Yelp and all those things give ratings on, you know, whatever it is. How is that done?
There's an app for that, by the way, with the whole rating and finding black businesses. There's so many apps that have localized black business where you can find them. So many. Even some celebrities invested in them like a few years ago.
Oh, I was gonna say, did you make the app?
No, but I could. It's easy, right? So the thing is, as you mentioned, spreading STEM, spreading that, the awareness and knowledge of it to the younger generations, those behind us, like, that's what I do. That's what you do. So they know this is possible. I could literally show someone how to build an app in 3 hours.
Okay, I'll call you later so you can show me how to build an app.
Yeah. So there's programs, right? It's no code things now. You don't have to know how to code, even though we know how to code. I know how to code. I hate it. Right? I never want to have to code another day of my life.
Yep.
But as far as, so here's the thing. Fundamentally, when it comes to building any kind of business, it goes back to who are you selling to and what do they want, right? So we say that, and you hear celebrities say this too. People, you know, people in the music industry, they'll say, well, they say they want clean music, but then they don't buy this. Is when I make this kind of bad music, that's misogynistic, this and that. This is the one that makes it to the club, okay? So we have to know that there are different segments. Not all black people like all the same things. That's one thing. We got to stop grouping us all together. So I don't eat meat, dairy, or eggs, right? My family, we're plant-based, right? So, but most of the time we can't go out to dinner with people because they're not, right? And then the restaurant only sells, you see what I'm saying? So we can't group. So first of all, segment out who you're serving, not just all black people. It's too many different categories. The foundation of everything I teach with starting a business is exactly who are you selling to. Then find out what they want, where they are and what they want. So if we're talking about starting, you know, how they have farmers market and, you know, fresh food, I know certain cities that I grew up in and lived in, they ain't gonna make no money where I grew up at. I'm telling you that right now. They want some steak subs and a fish fry, and those vegetables can kick rocks. You see what I'm saying? So figure out what it is you want to sell, who you want to sell it to, and there may be an incumbent that's not black that's in that area. But I tell you what, if you come around and you're able to provide that customer service and that same product, black people will buy from you.
Well,
they will.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a very valid point, but I think to me, so living in Durham, and I don't know if you've ever been to Durham, but Durham is a small town. I mean, you know, what are we, 200,000 or 300,000 people? I don't know how many people live in Durham. A lot of people live in Durham. And as you mentioned, there's black farmers markets, there's Black August. There are all these kinds of things that exist in Durham, right? But there's a segment, and I don't know how much you keep up with the news, but right before COVID did hit the way it did, there's a housing project in Durham where carbon dioxide was leaking into people's apartments and people were getting sick.
Oh
Now,
God.
if you can imagine now, think Flint.
Yeah.
Most of these are Black, poor, or economically stricken people, right? So,
Yeah.
so now I'm going to get my nails done. I'm going to get my hair done. I need some earrings. I need some flashy outfits because I'm going to go out, whatever that may mean.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to some Asian group to get my nails done because there are very few Black nail salons, at least here.
That's true.
There are a bunch of Black beauty shops and barber shops here, so there's that. There are a few Black restaurants that are here. But as you said, finding out what people need, right? So you got to find out what they need. So barbecue is big in North Carolina. So go to a barbecue restaurant because that's great.
Yeah.
And so the problem I have with the entire structure of this is for those poor people who could not get out of New Orleans when Katrina hit, right? So they had nowhere to go, although they had advance notice. That Black dollar needs to show up even if you don't agree with that business. So you don't eat eggs and cheese and meat. And
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I agree.
But there needs to be a place like that for Black people to go. But there also needs to be the steak and the protein place for other people to go. So you have all those things. So to me, the work that you're doing and that you're talking about, I think has to find some way to turn into Black dollars in Black communities so we can move the economic wealth chain from where we are now, right? So, we're constantly in this space, right? So,
yeah, the interesting thing is, so let's take it to like beauty supply stores, for example, which predominantly Asian, and I know Black beauty supply stores. I shop at one. Like I found the Black one and I went there, even though it's one that's not near my house, right? So, but I had to be very intentional on doing that, right? But the supply chain for beauty supply is on lock,
right,
by the Asian population.
Absolutely.
So when you're a Black person trying to start a beauty supply, a store or a chain, things are more expensive to you, which then in turn is more expensive to your customers, and it just perpetuates. So that's why, like, the root of one part of my strategy company is we help people with supply chain and using data to make decisions, like understanding how that whole thing works, how to negotiate with vendors and all of that. Like, people have to understand the entire breadth of running the business, not just having a great idea and renting out a place and then, getting some things from that source in China, whatever it is, and getting some cheap stuff and getting it there. Like, it's more to it than that, because some of the other communities actually have their supply chain on lock, which allows them to win. And just like you mentioned, in areas that are more, poverty stricken or less income, if something costs $5 here and costs $10 there, and it's the same thing. I know you're a Black business, but I only got $5,
right, right.
And I mean, you can't, it's nothing really you can do about that, because I completely understand about it. But one of the things I work on with business owners is innovating on your pricing, like on your structure, how you charge for things. So I had said long time ago, before you saw stylists kind of doing it more often as they do now, but I said long time ago, just charge a flat fee. People will come and get their hair done. If you say, I charge $200 a month, you can come up to 4 times. You have recurring revenue of $200 a month times how many people, and that's going to come in regardless. Like, we have to get more creative on how we set things up. And it also provides predictability to the people that are our customers. So it's one of those things where we don't have to entirely reinvent the wheel, but I'll share with them how, like, Amazon is doing something behind the scene, and this is how that's successful. and this is how that fits into your business. Or I know this tech company that does this with their customers, and that will work for you. It's a completely different industry, but that will work for you. So I like take bits and pieces from all these industries that I'm involved in around. I mean, I've done everything from aviation to power plants to construction of commercial buildings to software, right? And like everything, all kind of things in between. And so being able to pull from different industries and like apply it to something new helps people kind of think differently about their business, so that they're able to like adjust. Because it's kind of like everyone wants what they want at a reasonable price, right? So we got to constantly be adjusting to that, but it's hard to compete with the big guys, just like you mentioned with Amazon being. But listen, there's some things in Amazon's armor there.
Absolutely. All of them. All of them have dings.
Yeah, but one major one, to connect it back to this beauty supply, for example, one of the things with Amazon is they're known for selling knockoff products. So the hair product is not actually what it is. So it's like, the thing is, if you're a business owner, right? I'm a business owner, I'm doing a beauty supply store. And this is why I talk about it all: marketing, sales, customer success, and your tech. All of that is what makes up your business being successful. So I tell them your marketing strategy needs to talk about how your stuff is authentic. And the big guy over there, his stuff is not. Like how you position yourself can make you win. No one says you got to now redo the store, buy all new products. No, how you frame things in your marketing can make you a winner and make people trust you and buy from you over the next person. So I try to share those strategies with people, what's specific for their business.
Thank you so much, Monique, for doing this talk with me. It was very, very informative. I've learned so much. I'm sure I'll be bothering you about 8 other things when I figure out because I really am stuck. I don't know whether to move forward. I know what I'm doing is needed. And you probably know that as well, because like the number of Black and brown engineers as professors, as technicians, is very, very low. And so what my company foundation is to have us advocate for each other. So like, for example, the way you and I met. So I've known Stager for a long time. And so when Stager was a student at the law school, I was there for him, and so making that community of people that can help you get to the next place, right? So Stager connected us. That to me has to be a part of the business plan as well. I just don't know how that's done. So this has been wonderful. I mean, brilliant. I think everything you said has just been dead on. So it's really, really great. I still want to encourage you to create that course, sell it to people so that people can go find out from step one. So you got a great idea. How do you know it's a great idea, right? How do you know what your marketplace is? How do you know how you're going to make money? How much money is this going to cost you to get started? What are all the things, certifications you need depending on the kind of business you are? So, when you create that course, let me know.
Okay.
So thank you very much for talking to me.
Thank you.
As soon as the video chat converts, I will send you a link. You can look at it and let me know if I may upload it.
Okay. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
It really has. Very, very nice to meet you. Our stage is always speaking so highly of you, so I'm finally able to see what he sees. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. If I can ever be helpful to you, feel free to reach out.
I will. Just tell me what to do. Tell me whether I should stop or start. That would be the start with, but I will reach out. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.